The Celtics Talk podcast is presented by 24autogroup.com, 11 locations across New England.
What's up, everybody? Post-game pod coming back at you. Well, what do you know? Roller coaster Celtics, we're on the upswing. Celtics take down the Chicago Bulls 122-100 at TD Garden. And back on the winning streak. Washing out the bad taste of that Rockets loss. And the story of the night, though, is Kristaps Porzingis, who was phenomenal in this game. 34 points, 10 of 18 shooting, 8 3-pointers, plus 22 in his floor time. Had 26 first-half points. That includes a 15-point outburst in the first quarter. At one point, I think his 8-3 was like a step inside the logo. This is a new level of KP than we've seen here in Boston. Far more a Lion than a house cat. And I'm left wondering, Cookies and Cream were both good in this game, and certainly the numbers suggest that they make each other better when they're out there on the court. But I'm wondering if Cookies and Cream are starting to flip-flop roles. So Jaylen Brown has always been sort of the fire starter on this team, the guy who gets you going in the first quarter. Last 10 games that Kristaps Porzingis has been available at least, it seems like they're making a concerted effort to really get to lean on him, whether that's in the post to exploit size, to spread the floor, just take advantage of whatever matchup is out there. And so this is now, Kristaps has 8+ points in 9 of his last 10 games. Here's the last 10 games overall: 21.6 points per game, 52.1% from the field, 53% from beyond the three-point arc, 29.1 minutes per game, 8.1 rebounds, 2.2 assists, 1.3 block, 4 double-doubles in that span. Now, it's weird. Celtics are 6-4 in that span, and I can't quite explain that. Now, you could say probably should have won the Houston game. That stretch probably includes, what was the other bad loss? The Atlanta game. So you could find a way to say that maybe their record would be even better if they just kind of got to the finish line of these things. But it's clear that Kristaps, it's sort of been masked in this stretch just how good he's been. And if I'm looking for silver linings, if I'm looking for reasons to block out some of the roller coaster play, it's that Porzingis has been so good. I mean, the only thing you can quibble with is that he's had really good first halves, and the numbers have taken a nosedive in the second. Even tonight, I think it was 2 of 7 in the second half. You could make the case that maybe that's conditioning, maybe that's, not getting the same quality of shot that he got in the first half. Maybe the Celtics still need to work through that a little bit. But he did tell Abby after the game, I think 96.7%, so he's been upgraded from 92.7 when they were last on the road. You can just tell he's really in a groove. And as good as he was at the start of last season and kind of put himself into all-star consideration before the first injury setback there, it feels like you're getting a different level of KP right now. Again, the double-doubles are starting to pile up a little bit. He's just been such a weapon for this offense. And, tapping into that is probably a huge part of what they hope to do this year. One of the things I keep reminding myself is that this year is not last year. And what worked last season will not invariably work this season. And so Joe is, mixed and matched rotations in terms of like how he utilizes personnel. They've gone with a lot of double big to give a little bit of a different defensive look. I definitely think they're trying to, diversify the way that they can play with the idea that, look, you might have to be different. It's not, you might even see some of the same teams on the playoff journey. Like you might see Cleveland again. Cleveland will be different. They weren't as healthy as they are now last season. So it'll be fascinating to watch like just how this sort of, do they lock in on a way to play? Do they lock in on a rotation moving forward? But clearly this version of Kristaps elevates them to a different level of what they can be, and it's part of the reason that getting him back and getting him healthy and getting him situated is so important. So, you step back from the 10,000-foot view, and the Celtics start the year so good, and then you get Kristaps back, and he's awesome in that first game against the Clippers, and you're thinking, man, this team could be a real steamroller. The last month plus has been anything but, and maddening with the way that they've found to take their foot off the accelerator to lose games. But I do think if they iron out those wrinkles and you get this version of Kristaps, and if all the sort of bumps in the road to get him playing to this level, it'll be worthwhile. Now again, that does not excuse away the play. It does not justify like how maddening it's been to see them in some instances. And it's a lot easier to suggest this on a night where they roll against an undermanned and under-talented Chicago squad. I would love to see Kristaps do this 4 more games in a row and the Celtics to win 5 in a row and to start, gaining some momentum and start feeling good about, where they're moving towards and what they're figuring out through this stretch. But undeniably, Kristaps has been good and, really accentuated tonight. Almost got the first 30-30 game that wouldn't be Jason and Jaylen in quite some time. As Kristaps gets over that number. JB gets stalled at 28 points, but he deserves his own little burst in this first segment because he goes 28 points, 6 assists, 0 turnovers, and is a plus 23. I think it was a team best plus 23 on the court. When the Celtics sort of ripped this game open in the second quarter, it was all Jaylen. Like quite literally, at one point he had a steal. Like broke out in transition, didn't really have anything, but put a little spin move on and finished a little, might even been a lefty hook. He was really in control tonight, and knowing that Kristaps had it going from the outside and was dominating from the perimeter, felt like again a little cookies being cream, cream being cookies. They threw it all in the blender, and there's JB. Doing his business around the basket and being aggressive and making good things happen and taking care of the basketball. I think we know that when they're on the court, Kristaps and JB are going to share a lot of time. Where pretty much invariably last season when Kristaps was out there, they tried to get JB with him. And again, you got to probably experiment with a little bit and check the combos again this year, but. It feels like that they really play well off of each other, that the team thrives in those minutes, and certainly the plus-minus reflects that on a night like this. Again, I'm not going to get too high after one win because we know how this goes. Celtics have struggled to put it together consistently. It is wild that they're now, I think, 14-1 after a loss this season. Just every time they hit those bumps, they come back, and now the differential was plus 21 coming into the game. They win by 22 here, so it's going to probably stay right about the same there. But yeah, like for whatever reason, when they're just a little bit more locked in, when they're just a little bit more focused, good things happen. And we'll see. We'll see if they can get a little healthier. We'll see if Al Horford, who missed the second straight game with the big toe, if Sam Hauser can get back out there. After, it's surprising how much just, from the back to the hip or whatever he's dealing with now, how much time he's missed this season. And right when it felt like he was maybe starting to turn a little bit of a corner and get back to being himself. Celtics have not been great when they've had everybody together, and yet they've got to figure that out. And they got to figure out like what the balance is, how they're working offensively. But what a luxury on a night like this to go out there when you desperately needed to feel good about this team and get a get-right game. Kristaps goes for 34 points, super dominant on the floor. He also had a hilarious quote. I hope it's as part of the post-game package here of sound, talking about, when teams are taking away that three-point shot, he needs to go inside and earn his meat. And then he laughed and he couldn't. He was trying to soldier on and finish his answer, but he just in his mind knew what he said was hilarious. And so whether it's Lions and House Cats and meat, Kristaps has been really good. And if this is what we're getting at 96.7%, can't wait to see what 100% looks like. And hopefully stays at 100%. Could be vital to what this team wants to accomplish. All right, here's more from our post-game show.
Kristaps Porzingis, 34 points, 11 rebounds. Celtics win at 122-100 as they take down the Chicago Bulls. Celtics postgame live. Tom Giles, Eddie House. And let's just start right there. Kristaps Porzingis, the way he got them started, the way he kind of got things going again in the second half.
Yeah, he's the guy that's on our team that, used to be Jaylen Brown in the first quarter. Jaylen Brown setting the tone in the first quarter, getting everything going, being aggressive. But KP's doing it in a different way. He's doing it from behind the three-point line, and I believe he said that his shot is feeling better. Then it's feeling really good. And also you got to think that he missed a handful of games at the beginning of the season. And so he's playing himself into shape. So he's looking a whole lot better out there on the court. He's feeling comfortable. And he is the guy, for whatever reason, people are leaving open and giving him opportunities to either shoot. And then when they switch, he punishes them on the inside. I mean, he had a hell of a game, and he was the fire starter for us.
Well, let's take a look at some of those threes that we saw from Kristaps Porzingis. As Drew told you on the broadcast, the 8 threes, tying a career high. And there's really no limit to his range either, Eddie. I mean, he's from the parking lot at this point.
Yeah, and the one thing, if you peep game, he's not hesitating. Every time he catches it, he's right into his rhythm. And you got to give his teammates credit because the ball is on time, on target, and all he has to do, and this is a hell of a pass right here and a hell of a finish, all he has to do is catch and let it go. Right there, even if that was a bounce, even the bounce was still right there in the shooting pocket. Another pass right in the shooting pocket, and he's not hesitating. He's letting that thing go. You see Drew Holiday down there?
Do I really have to go all the way out there?
Drew Holiday was like, hey, I'm down. Never mind, good shot.
All right, so 10 of 18 overall is, again, Porzingis leading the way for the Celtics with those 34 points. And he's also standing by with Abby Chin back at TD Garden, so let's go to that.
Kristaps, what a start. You had 26 points in the first half. What allowed you to get going?
Honestly, my shot is just feeling way smoother and way nicer. Last, I don't know, 5, 7, 8 games, I don't know. So that's pretty much it. My shot's falling in better shape, playing with some joy, and tonight was a good night.
Yeah, it's clear. How much fun were you having out there?
From 1 to 10, like 15. I'm really enjoying it, and most importantly, we're winning games. Last one we had a little misstep, but that was a good team we played, and overall I think we're on the right track and we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I want to keep throwing numbers at you. You mentioned the rhythm you're in. You told us the other day you feel like you're at 92.7%. Now you put up 34 and 11, a career high 8 threes. Can we say you're at like 98.5%?
96 point something. But no, I'm feeling in good shape, and I think I'm always a player that, like, if I have a good summer and then I go into the season, I start really well. This year I didn't have that summer, so it took me a little bit to get going, but as I can see, I'm hitting my stride now. I'm feeling really good.
As a team, you guys a little bit of start and stop, but you haven't dropped consecutive games but once this season. What is it about this team and that resiliency?
Yeah, if we want to be a championship caliber team, we can't lose 2 in a row, and every time we bounce back pretty well after some losses, and that's it. We are a championship caliber team, and we're gonna have to prove it again this year.
Kristaps, thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you, Abby.
It's nice up here, I gotta say.
All right, you got the apple box going there, so she can get up to Kristaps Porzingis, the 7-3 big man who's knocking down threes from all over the place. Drew and Scal on the call for it, and fellas, I'll kick it out to you.
Yeah, Giles, it was really fun to watch. It was pretty impressive to watch, too, what Kristaps Porzingis was doing, because it's 2-3 weeks now, Scal, where KP gets off to a really hot start. It's a matter of sustaining it for the entire game. And, we talked about why that is. Maybe it's a conditioning thing, coming back after he missed the first month of the season. Tonight was the first time where it was like, all right, I'm going to keep it going all the way till halftime, and then give you a little bit in the third quarter as well. And he was probably the most impactful player on the floor.
We need to take advantage of Porzingis going off in the first quarter. A guy, if he goes and has 4 for 4, 4 for 6, 12 points, we need to win those games. And I like the fact that they go to him early. He has been delivering. I think the stats have showed, I think his effective is right around 100% in the first half of games since beginning of January. So we're taking advantage of that, and I do agree with you. I don't think his conditioning is fully there because he'll want to be knocking down shots late in the fourth quarter, but it's getting closer and closer. I felt like this was a game where he played probably the most minutes where he was consistent.
So it was him, and then it was his partner in cookies and cream, Jaylen Brown. It was like little inside outside, but the big man was giving you the space, and then Jaylen was attacking the basket. I mean, that's something I feel like every time we do a game scout, you talk about wanting to see guys play off 2 feet, and especially Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, the way the Bulls were guarding us, it was easy to see that what we needed to do was drive, take our time, take that extra bump or jump stop and pivot, and Jaylen Brown is tailor-made for that. Like, he's really adapted that to his game. He's done it throughout the playoffs last year. It got him conference finals MVP and finals MVP, and today was a perfect day to break that out, and I think he recognized the defense is still really tilting towards Tatum. They're not coming off of shooters in the corner, so why not drive, come to a jump stop, and pretty much playing one-on-one from the restricted area.
What do you think of the Celtics defense tonight?
I mean, at times it was good, like in the half court, but they still, like, we got to get back on defense. Remember, when we lost the game at home, the Bulls kind of ran us off the floor to start the fourth quarter. You can't mess around with a game defensively in transition just because you can't match up. You got to get back. You got to set your defense. And when we do set our defense, we're really hard to score on.
Yeah, 19 fast break points for the Bulls tonight. That's a pretty high number. They didn't have Zach LaVine, who dominated last time the Bulls were in this building, Giles. But another night, another great bounce back after a loss. Now we'll see what do the Celtics do after a win in New Orleans.
The award-winning 24 Auto Group is the easy choice for your next car, truck, or SUV. 11 locations and over 2,000 new and pre-owned vehicles in stock.
Shop the brands you know and love, backed by savings and service you can count on. Plus, buy 3 and get 1 free for all tire purchases, with 11 convenient locations across the South Shore of Massachusetts.
24 has the knack to save you more. Visit us in store or online at 24autogroup.com.
Obviously, a great shooting night for Kristaps. Can you speak to the just consistency he's shown during this month and his kind of growth from three-point range? I think he's over 50% in January there.
Yeah, I mean, he's just been great on both ends of the floor. I think, obviously offensively, he handles a lot of different cross matches, and he's gotten so much better at that, his screening versus different coverages. I think he's playing with a great level of physicality defensively. He's getting better at some of the different coverages that we have, and, he's been great. So it's great to see him kind of have a game like he did tonight, and for us to, have a well-balanced game as well.
Joe, you've been going to Jayden a bit more. Considering that the defensive intensity for you guys hasn't been as consistent as it has been in the past, what kind of boost having him as an on-ball kind of like bulldog type of guy, what kind of boost is that giving you guys?
Yeah, I mean, he's gotten a couple turnovers, some deflections, and, just his on-ball defense. I think, certain guys bring certain things to the table, and when he's out there, he makes everyone better around him defensively just because of his physicality.
You haven't had kind of like that wild card energy guy off the bench, and Peyton has done that in the past, but now he's such a big part of the rotation that he does more. Yeah. Is that an important element to have, as just a guy that you can throw in there and the other guys have to kind of like rise up to his level, even for short stints?
I think, Jayden is that, but I think they don't want to take away from what Peyton has done, what Luke has done, what Nemi has done, and I think those guys still do that. But yeah, Jayden has kind of carved that little rollout to where he's on the floor. He just kind of brings the best out of everybody defensively, and having a lot of those guys I think is important. Yeah, for sure.
Joe, it looked like Drew was kind of fussing with his left wrist a little bit, and he didn't play much there in the second half. Do you have an update on Drew at all?
Yeah, he's fine.
He's fine?
Yeah.
Great. Thanks.
Joe, you mentioned how you think Kristaps has been getting more consistent, more better at some of the coverages you guys have been running, adapting to the team. How have you seen you guys grow back into having him in the lineup? I know you've mentioned like rebuilding habits and stuff. Like, how have you seen that adapt? Do you think it's where it was last year? Do you think there's still work to do? Obviously, he's been playing well lately. Like, how have you been pleased with that progress of integrating him back?
Yeah, I'm pleased with the progress in it. I mean, we work at it in shoot-arounds, work at it on film, and the guys are working together to figure it out. So, I like where their process is, their mindset as far as, how they go about just getting better in it. So, it's an ever-flowing thing that we just got to work at every day, and they're getting better at it.
Joe, what do you think of the concept of shortening the NBA to 10-minute quarters? The commissioner said on a podcast that he liked the idea.
I don't care. Whatever you gotta do, just play the game.
Joe.
I didn't know that question was coming.
Nah.
But I love the answer, but I like the 12-minute quarters. Who wants to go to 10-minute quarters?
I don't. That's 40-minute game. That's college basketball.
Right.
Yeah, no, you don't want that. Keep it what it is. It skews the records and all that stuff. So
you have to start adjusting everything and
stay with it. Stay with it.
Okay. As it were, you got Jaylen Brown, who played a lot of minutes. Actually, the starters in general, outside of Drew Holiday, played a lot of minutes in this one. Jaylen Brown making the most of it. He had 28 points. How did he look to you compared to what we've been seeing?
I mean, he looked like Debo out there. He was getting to his spot, getting to the bucket. Matter of fact, he was 9 of 12 from inside the paint. So once he took a couple threes, I think he was 1 for 5 from 3, I believe. Yeah, he was 1 for 5 from 3. So he didn't take that many. He hit the one in the corner, and after that, he really didn't take that many. That's pretty much almost 1 a quarter, right? So what he did recognize is that he could take advantage of their defense because they weren't collapsing. And once Giles said, we need to play off 2 feet, it's almost like Jaylen Brown heard him, and because that's all Jaylen Brown did was play off 2 feet, especially the way that Chicago was defending. Was stick to the guys on the three-point line, don't overhelp, and it was pretty much one-on-one basketball. And Jaylen Brown just was stronger. Look at that right there. Look at the space he was able to create with his shoulder and not extending his arm and getting to the basket and again playing off 2 feet. And I thought him and Kristaps tonight they played total opposite. Kristaps was on the perimeter a lot, but then he did get to the rack when he wanted to. But Jaylen Brown just basically took over in the paint.
Well, how much does the spacing help where you're stretching the defense out because Porzingis is making everything from behind the arc? That's got to make things easier.
Yeah, that's the shot blocker. Who was guarding him? Was it Vucevic, right? So if he's guarding him, that's their shot blocker. So he's extended out on the perimeter because he's worried about Porzingis because Porzingis had been knocking down threes. So it made it a lot easier for Jaylen Brown to take advantage of that. And that's the advantage that this team has. You have a guy that can stretch the floor like that, take the shot blocker away from the paint to where you can attack. And then if they do want to help, we could spray the ball out. We got guys that could crack you off the dribble or they could knock down shots. Another guy that had a phenomenal night tonight, I think, hitting shots, he's starting to look himself again, is Derek White. He ended up with 22 points. He had 5 assists, 1 block, 7-14 from the field and 4-10 from 3. Very solid night from him. I'm glad to start seeing him get back in his rhythm.
It varies from game to game. Like some games you just don't. Honestly, today I didn't feel like perfect. Like before the game, my energy was not like crazy, but sometimes you have good games like that. So. But overall, I'm getting in good shape, and my shot, most importantly, my shot is like, feeling smooth and feeling good. So I look forward to keep playing at this level.
You mentioned working on your shot, strengthening your wrist a couple weeks ago. How do you feel like that's improved the three-point shooting over this month?
Yeah, no, a lot. You can see the percentage. It's night and day. So I just know I have to stay on top of this, and these are, I have to enjoy these moments. These are nice moments when you get on a few games, you feel good, rhythm is good, shots falling, I'm enjoying it.
What's that process like of tinkering with your shot? Maybe it wasn't where you wanted it to be when you first came back and getting into this one.
Yeah, no, and it's everything. It's not just my wrist. It's like, my legs, get my legs underneath me, like getting in good shape. The game slows down 10%, and all those things just slowly start to get to where they need to be, and shots are going in, and tonight was a game where I was going to get the shots, and it was just a matter of if I'm going to make them or not, and they were going in.
Just how satisfying has this past month been? I think you're shooting like 51% from 3 in January. Like, you were obviously really frustrated last month. Just gets the satisfaction of all that.
Yeah, honestly, it wasn't too much of a worry, I knew sooner or later I'll start hitting shots, and I'll hit my stride and my rhythm. And honestly, it was just a matter of time. My routines stay consistent, and yeah, it was just a matter of time, honestly.
You talk about rhythm. When you get your first 2 to go like that, does that mentally get you off to a great start?
Yeah, I've always enjoyed starting the game off aggressively, And last game I just shot a trail 3, which it looks kind of ridiculous for like some 7'3" guy running up in the court and just, but my rhythm is really good, and I feel the shot really good. So I'm trusting myself to make that shot, and these guys are trusting me and just pitching it back to me, and I'm letting it fly. And I enjoy having these hot starts, getting the team off to a good start, and I look forward to keep this momentum going.
What has the process been like working yourself back in? Joe mentioned it's more about how defenses try to contain you and how everyone kind of has to then adjust around you.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a work in progress?
Yeah, as Joe always says, it's like varies from game to game. Like some games, they just completely take away, for example, my three, and then every basket I have to like earn with meat, and like that maybe with force. Maybe that crowd sounded crazy, but like, but I have to like go and like in the paint and like fight and get fouled, and some games are like that. Some games is more like they're doubling JT, blitzing JT, and I'm still thinking about that, and they're blitzing him, so he's just willingly giving it up, and we have to make the next play out of that, so. And then I'm getting open shots, and I don't have to work as hard maybe to get the points. So just varies from game to game, and that's the cool part about this team is like we're selfless in that way, and we'll feed the ball whatever the defense gives us.
At the other end, where is this defense relative to where you'd like it to be?
Our defense?
Yes.
I think it's not bad. I mean, we have some lapses. We have a little bit lapses sometimes, but honestly, it's true that I feel like sometimes our defense kind of goes also with our offense, but now as we're having a good offensive rhythm, defensively we also kind of we feel good, we feel better, feel more energetic. So I think it's pretty good. Yeah, I mean we had a couple like 25-point quarters today, I think at least. So yeah, keep going this way.
Kristaps, last question. I know you in the past you said you grew up playing guard. I'm just wondering, from tall person to tall person, how did you kind of avoid getting stuck under the basket like some coaches might be tempted to, just developing your perimeter?
Yeah, no, it's a shout out to my youth coach, Edwin Sprude. He just saw the talent in me. He allowed me to bring the ball up, shoot threes. Just kind of gave me the green light to be my own player. But yeah, not everybody maybe in the youth has that freedom, but I did, and that's a credit to my youth coach.
All right, up next, Celtics are back on the road. This quick little stop home here. Feels like they've been on the road for the most of January, and now it'll spill into the month of February after the 2 4-game road trips out west. They head a little west. Starts in New Orleans, a little Super Bowl appetizer down there in New Orleans before the big game invades. Celtics obviously got taken to the wire by that team. A lot of offensive talent. The Mavericks got a 1-point win over the Pelicans tonight. But Zion, that whole roster felt like it was 20-plus points in that game. Again, he scored 136. Everyone's got it going. So the Celtics just got to be ready. Defense even against Chicago tonight. Defense wasn't always locked in. Kind of just got caught trading baskets at points, and those lapses just kind of allowed Chicago not to ever get close, but just kind of like fester. So Celtics got to be a little bit more dialed in defensively in that game. Like I said, we'll see what we get for personnel if Al's back out there. Do they try to go back to a more double big? Who's the guy that plays and is the focal point in the first half? Tatum obviously had a little bit more of a quiet game tonight. In fact, they tried to get him checked back in the second quarter. It was like no stoppage, and he ended up only playing like 2 minutes in the second quarter tonight. So even though they couldn't get him to take a full night off, maybe he got a little bit more rest than usual. And of course, this trip invariably will be looking ahead a little bit. They got the Sixers on Sunday, but the big game of the week is going to be that Tuesday night, next Tuesday, against the Cleveland Cavaliers. And Cleveland in a little bit of a funk right now, missing Mobley for part of it. They obviously tripped up twice against Houston, a Houston team that tripped up the Celtics. So, but that's still, you weren't able to make up much ground because you couldn't get out of your own way. And so Celtics can still add a little intrigue to the chase for the 1 seed if they take care of business against the Cavaliers twice in the month of February. And looming over all of this, trade deadline next Thursday afternoon before the Celtics play the Mavericks and another NBA Finals rematch back here in Boston. But yeah, I don't know. It's more like it's funny because usually the trade deadline dominates these podcasts during the stretch leading up to it, and because the Celtics are so limited in what they can do, I think the focus is more on going to be like how do you get the top 9 healthy, how do you get the top 9 playing well. But we'll sprinkle in a little trade chatter. When I see Javonte Green on Friday night across the court from the Celtics or Daniel Tice, I'll be like, yeah, we'll be concocting trades that can maybe fill that 15th roster spot or shuffle it up. But I don't know, got a little bit more difficult the way Jaden Springer's playing. He probably deserves even more another shout out on the pod. But very good tonight and continues to play defense. But why don't you go go subscribe, go check us out on the YouTube page. We'll catch you Friday night on the Celtics Talk podcast.